Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Naman Satsangi, and I'm proud to serve you as your Indiana HOSA State Vice President. So, like I said, today we will be talking about competitive events and just learning more about it and what we have to offer this year at our state leadership conference. So, think of competitive events as the Olympics. And the way you think of Olympics is that, there are people of all sorts of different fields that are competing to win in several events. So, how competitive events works for HOSA is that there are several health oriented events that we have, and you can participate in them. And the best come on top, and they win scholarships and recognitions and medals. So, there are a lot of prizes and recognitions and scholarship money that they can potentially win. So the top three finalists in each event qualify for the International Leadership Conference. So the International Leadership Conference is like the mother conference, if you will. So every year, as you know, at the state level, we host our state leadership conference, and Mother HOSA or International Organization of HOSA holds their own conference every year. And that is where the top three finalists from each event here from Indiana HOSA, they get to compete there. So in the international competition, they get to compete against international finalists, and they get to compete for more scholarship money. Obviously, since it's at a larger scale, they have a chance of winning more money. And since it's at a larger scale, everything else is more bumped up too. So their chance of getting a recognition and medals, it can mean a lot more since it's at an international level. So the impact of COVID-19. So as we know, COVID-19 has had an impact on all of our lives, and it has affected Indiana HOSA too. So some events have a written test, other requirements that are submitted prior. So I think this is something we also did last year, is where we used Tallow. And for some events, we had to submit documents beforehand before the event started on Tallow. So there's a specific deadline, and you have to turn your documents in before that deadline in order to compete at State Leadership Conference. So students will use Tallow or Wufoo to upload their documents. So how it's going to work is that the secondary and post-secondary are going to use Tallow, and our middle school students are going to use Wufoo to upload their documents. So as of now, we're not sure what we're going to do with our conference. It could be in person, it could not be in person. We're wanting you to prepare for both scenarios because with COVID-19 going on, we're not really sure as to how it's going to continue, but we will be closely monitoring it and then seeing and going according to that. So let's first off figure out what events fits you well, right? It's very important to figure out what event is going to work best with you. And the best way to do that is to visit the visit the HOSA website. And they have these links that you can go to. So if you go and hover over the competition tab, you see several options, and one of them is useful tools. So if you select useful tools, it pops up with a lot of options that are going to tell you about what the events are and what competitive event is right for you. So this is what you see under the useful tools. It shows you right there. If you're in the middle school, here are competitive events that you can participate in, and then you can choose one. And if you're in the secondary and post-secondary or collegiate level, what events are made for you, and you can participate in them. So you get to pick from those. Along with that, HOSA competitive events program. So HOSA, here's a list of the competitive event programs that we have to offer. And so each competitive event has its own abbreviation. And it's useful that you remember the abbreviation that it's talked about. So for example, behavioral health is called BH. Cultural diversities is called CDD. And it goes according to that. So it's important that when you're competing, just that you keep that in mind because sometimes you might just see the abbreviation for the event instead. And it's important that you just keep it in your mind. Along with that, so let's just say if we have everything in person and as it has been planned so far, The online written test is going to be from February 22nd to April 2nd. That is how we're going to do it. And it's going to be for these events right here. So feel free to take a screenshot if you need to. And this video is going to be uploaded on YouTube, so you can get these information later too. But if you do use the online written test, you have to do it for these following events right here. And then the Tallow submissions, which closes on April 2nd, is going to be for the specific events that are listed underneath. So, for example, if you're thinking about running for a state officer position, you might want to fill out the officer candidate packet, which is due by April 2nd on Tallow. And you also have to do a written test, which is going to be done from February 22nd through April 2nd, and it's going to be done at your school. Along with that, if we do have it in person, most of our events are going to be judged on site. So you can see the list here. It's quite long. And that's the list of the events that are going to be done in person from April 15th through 16th of this year, if we have our state leadership conference in person in Indianapolis. Along with that, now let's take a look at virtual options. So like I said, with COVID-19, we don't necessarily know what's going to happen. It is possible that we might have to switch to this virtual option. So here's how that timeline would look. So the online written test will go from February 22nd to April 2nd. So we're still following the same timeline as it is. And the personal care and life support skills, those are two more things that are added onto here. Along with that, Tallow submissions. Now these, again, they're still going to close on April 2nd. And here are some other additional events that are added under Tallow if we do move to a virtual option. So an event like prepared speaking would be based off of Tallow, and you would have to submit the speech that you're going to give, your prepared speech on that. Like I said before, middle school cannot use Tallow, and they will use Wufoo instead to submit their submissions that they have, and events to be submitted through the hosted tracking system by April 2nd. And those are going to be the service awards and the service project awards. So those are two other things that we have. We give out the awards every year at our state leadership conference. So if those are any of those things is something that interests you, I would highly suggest, you get it turned in as soon as you can. So as soon as we completely decide if Indiana HOSA is going to go virtual or in person for the state leadership conference, you can go according to that and start getting your assignments turned in. And then April 13th scenario posted, and this is how it's going to be. It says that these events will be posted for 24 hours from 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern time, and they will be posted at indianahosa.org. So if we do move to a virtual option, it is going to be done through our website. If any of you guys attended last year and remember how we did our virtual option last year, it is going to be similar to that, but we're looking to make more modifications and make it more user-friendly and make it a better platform, if you will, from last year. So here, as I said, this is what's going to be done for April 13th, and then April 14th, that is what we have here. And then we also have a live event on April 13th. That's going to be the Anatomage Anatomy Challenge. That's going to be done live. And then on April 14th and 15th, we will have Zoom calls going on for some of our events. Starting at 1 p.m., we have medical spelling, public health, community awareness, and then we have our two middle school events that are listed down there. And then on April 15th, starting at, again, 1 p.m., we have job seeking skills, interview skills, HOSA Bowl, and parliamentary procedure. So again, these are some of the events that are, they're always done at our state leadership conference, and usually we do it in person. But if we do decide to switch to a virtual option, this is how it's going to look like. So it's still going to be more in person, but we are going to make sure that we are conducting Zoom calls, so you still get some of that experience. Moving on. So some notable changes that we have this year in competitive events. Health Informatics is a new health science event. So that's a notable change that we have for this year. Along with that, Extemporaneous Health Poster is now a middle school event only. So these are some notable changes that we have for our upcoming state leadership conference. And research poster replaces extemporaneous health poster as a leadership event, and it is only for secondary and post-secondary members. So this is another change that we made. It used to be for all of our HOSA members before, but now it is going to be only available for our secondary and post-secondary members. So now, how do you find out more information about competitive events? So the best way to do that again is just go to hosa.org. They have all the information on there. If you go under competitive events, and again, hover over competition, and if you go click on guidelines, you're going to find out more about what they have to offer. So now here are the middle school events that middle school students can participate in. And then below that, we have secondary and post-secondary events where students that fall under those categories can participate. So if you click on those, you can learn more about the events and how it's going to work. So as you can see here, the events we still have a lot of options for middle school students, even though we've taken a few from them, but we've balanced it out so that we're giving every grade level an equal opportunity to participate at our state leadership conference, and make sure that there are a lot of events that they can possibly choose from if they do choose to participate at the state leadership conference. Along with that, another thing, in order to prepare for events, you can go click on competition again, hover over that, useful tools, and that's going to give you more information. So it's going to have videos, and this is all on the main HOSA website. So hosa.org. If you go on there and follow these steps, you can look over everything. So these videos are going to tell you more about competitive events and how you can prepare, and then how this year's events are going to work. So let's just say even after this, you still have some questions, you're not clear, you're not 100%, you can watch the videos that are on here. They're definitely very useful sources that you can go through and just try to see what HOSA has going on at an international level. So Talo and Wufu. So like I said, now this year, if we do go the virtual route, it's going to be very, very, very important that the students understand how to use Talo and Wufu. So last year, it was we changed to our virtual option very quickly. It happened out of nowhere pretty much because we had to go into lockdown, and then the cases started rising a lot more. So that's why we're letting you guys know this year in advance that if we do move to a virtual option, Talo and Wufu are going to be very important, because that is how you're going to turn your assignments or posters or whatever you have in. So here's how it's going to work. Students in the secondary and post-secondary divisions will use Talo to submit their competitive event documents. So that's high school and college students, they're going to use Talo. And students in the middle school division will use Wufu to submit their applications. So that's how we have it planned for this year. And in the months leading up to State Leadership Conference, please familiarize yourself with the websites, as it is very important that the documents be submitted on time. Like I said, if we do go to a virtual route now, it is very important that we get everything turned in on time, because if you don't, then you're going to be disqualified. You cannot participate, because we want everything done on time so that we have, if it's an event that is done completely online, then we need to have plenty of time to grade it so we can come out with the results when we do announce it. So make sure that if we do switch over, or even if we don't, if there's something that you have to turn in on Talo or Wufu, make sure you're doing that so that you're prepared and you're kind of ahead of the game. Along with that, that is where we're going to end with our questions. But before that, before I conclude, like I said, some important things to remember is that Talo and Wufu, I've stressed on it enough throughout the presentation. It is very, very important that we make sure that we're staying on task and following Talo and Wufu. And as we have more updates, and as we decide, if we're going the virtual or in-person route, we will update you, the advisors. Our state advisor, Eddie Erickson, will send out an email and just to let you guys know what's going on. Along with that, you can always visit our website, indianahosa.org, to get more information, and also visit hosa.org. They have a lot of information on there too. Like I said, they have a lot of useful tools that you can use to find out what's going on and how you can run more about competitive events. So that is all I have right now, and I'll be open to any questions. And Eddie is also here, so he can answer some questions and make some comments too. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Naman. I did answer someone in the chat about where you sign up for events, and pretty much you're going to do that through your teacher or whoever is your advisor for your organization. Maybe it's someone, maybe you're not in this person's class as a teacher, but maybe they oversee your organization a little bit. So just talk with them. They know how to get you registered, and they have all the plans as to how to do it and when to do it. You guys, I am going to share a bit of information. I shared it with the teachers. I'm not sure if they shared it with you guys last Friday, but our competitive events is going virtual this year. So we do want to make sure that we definitely utilize that Tallo, pay attention to some of the other information that your teachers are going to be sharing with you guys, and we'll get through everything as seamlessly as possible, and we'll be here to support you guys in any way that you guys need. Okay. So I guess with Naman, I'll go ahead and open it up for questions. If you guys have any questions, feel free. You guys can unmute yourself and talk to us. You guys can put it in the chat. It's really up to you guys. But yeah, we're here to talk to you guys about competitive events and what you guys are thinking, what you guys might need some help with.
Yeah, and I can talk about like my personal experience for competitive events. I would definitely encourage you guys to participate, and you are going to if you go to state conference. But it's a very fun way of learning more about the medical profession as is, because you're participating in events, you're competing against other students throughout the state that are like very good at what they're doing. So it's a fun and learning way to understand more about. Let's just say you're interested in serving as a paramedic. We have events for those that you can participate in and learn. For me personally, I enjoy speaking and public speaking a lot. So I participated in prepared speaking, my very first state HOSA conference. So, take your time, look through the HOSA website, see all the events that we have to offer. And when the video is up, look at the list of the events that we have, see what might work best for you, go through the description of the events we have, and I will definitely encourage that you participate in one of them. More if
Yeah, so at every year we allow students to do up to 3 events at the state conference. Once you guys compete at the state conference, depending on how you guys rank, we'll allow you guys to move on to the next level or the international level. So that's pretty much how we don't run any regional events or anything like that. So we just do their state conference. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how we run it. So you guys still get 3 events. So even if you might do badly in one event, you still have 2 other events that you could possibly still be able to compete well in and be able to move on into the international conference. And then I did have a question here in the chat about finding Tallo. So pretty much that's just tallo.com. Chase did a workshop on this last week.
Yeah.
And it may be posted on the website where you guys found these links. So you should be able to watch that, but it's pretty much tallo.com. And then once you're in there, you're going to go up to the top tab where it says opportunities, and then just search for Indiana HOSA, and most of those events should come straight up.
And like I said, it's important, even if you're, I see some people that joined our call for the state leadership candidate possibly. So if you're thinking about running for that too, it's important that you use Tallo, because that is something that I had to use last year. Especially since we were all online. You have to make a whole profile on there and turn your applications through Tallo. So make sure if that's something you're interested in, that you start working on it, because it does take a little bit of time to get through it, especially if you're thinking about running for state officer candidate, because you have to fill out a lot more information. But even if just for your events, once you find out what you're interested in, take your time and start working on it, because the more time you put into it, the better chance you have of doing well at the conference itself. And then, you know, you can win scholarship money, like I said, or medals. And that those are things that are going to go with you a long way, especially as a lot of us are going to start to go to college and whatnot. So it's important that if you're participating, just try and while you're at it, have fun too. That's important too. But do we have any other questions?
And
For the events, you said we could choose up to 3 events, right? And I was also wondering, could those 3 events be like one of them can be like individual and then the other two can be teamwork, or would it all have to be either individual or teamwork?
So there's actually a tiered setting. There's actually a worksheet that I've sent out to all of your teachers. And let me see if I have it on here real quick. There it is. Okay. Hey, Naman, can you give me permission to share? Okay. So your worksheet is going to look something like this. So pretty much it is all broken down into different sections. So it talks a little bit about like t-shirt size, because we're still planning on trying to send you guys the t-shirts and everything, kind of like what we did last year, to, you know, just like a little gift for participating in this year's state conference. But then as you see, it's broken down into sections. So these are all the events that you can do out of section 1. So you can only pick one. Out of section 2, you can go ahead and pick one of those. And then section 3, same thing down there. So we do have it broken out based on it's based on normally if it was in person, and it's usually based on how it is laid out at the conference. So normally section 2 would be the morning of Tuesday, and section 3 is the afternoon of Tuesday. So that's pretty much how that is playing out. And that's kind of how it's set up. We just kind of ran with the same scenario. But that is pretty much how that plays out. Is, I mean, it's just set up in this rubric style thing. Your teacher should have it. They should be able to give it to you. And honestly, it would help them out. If they're not using it, I would maybe ask for it and see if they can find it, because it should make their registration a little bit easier as they register you guys for the conference. And then Ava, I want to go back to your last part of your question. I completely missed it. As far as competing next year, once you guys compete this year, and then the internationals happens somewhere in July, the entire thing resets, and then you guys come back and you compete again. So if you guys wanted to continue competing, even if you guys wanted to go into college and continue competing, you guys can compete every single year. So it's not like once you lose, then you can't compete anymore. You can learn more information and come back and compete again if you want to. Yeah, so every event is very different. Some are written test only, some have skilled scenarios, some are group events where you have to put together a presentation or a poster. Some of them are putting together a skit and presenting it, like our public health. It's probably the only one that allows you to use all kinds of different props and stuff like that. So just go to hosta.org into competitive events, and all of those rubrics are there for you to click on, and it'll lay it all out for you as to what's expected, how you're going to be scored, and all that good stuff.
Then that is all we have for this meeting. Thank you so much to everyone who joined. And if you have any other questions, even after this presentation, you can reach out to your advisors, and they can always reach out to Eddie, and he will more than happily answer your questions. Or you can reach out to us to our social media that I had on there. It's Indiana Hosa 1 on Instagram, Twitter. Reach out to us through that, and we can definitely get back to you with any questions and try to answer to the best of our ability. But thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, if you guys are wanting to know more about the specific guidelines, feel free to tune into Iola's event that should be coming up. I think it's at close to 5:30. It might be a little bit sooner than that, but yeah, just make sure you tune into that, and she's going to go over the guidelines and everything too.